Hello, ladies. How are we this beautiful Friday?
Better now. It's my
I
I'm
favorite.
great.
mean,
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I love before we went live, we were talking about how all of us are just like surrounded in nature and greenery. So recharging. This is also my last thing that I'm doing before I log off until the 23rd of June.
Heck yeah,
That's so
girl.
special. I'm so
Embrace
excited for you.
vacation. I'm with ya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Viva Italia.
I'm ready. I'm excited. And I just think that this is a really perfect conversation to have before I log off. It's our first ever after like a year of doing this, our first ever LinkedIn Live Sales Alchemy where we have had like a preset theme. I mean, I know we often have kind of informal themes that we chat about, but this one I shipped it to the actual like the title of the event. And so
Wow.
the theme is devotion. And I was thinking so much, Monica, and I'd love to really come to you to like introduce this concept of devotion because it is so inspired by you and the way you live your life and so many of our conversations. But I was thinking so much about devotion and this conversation at a time where I'm about ready to disappear for like almost a month.
Mm.
And like I don't know. I want to come to you. I don't want to give any spoilers, but devotion is like a devotion to myself and my space and my need to like recharge, reconnect. But tell folks where this whole idea came from.
Totally. So, the way that I think about like the way that I organize my life and the way that I manifest is it's very type B. It's not like, I'm going to list the goals and then we're going to see how we did at the end of the quarter. I'm just sort of like, and I think that if you know me in a lot of contexts, this might sound surprising, but if you know me in other contexts, this is not surprising at all. I'm more just kind of like flowing through the universe, and then I kind of pick up some threads, and then I'm like, ooh, let's tune into that thread and let's see if there's more there. And then sometimes it's like, oh, there's a lot more there. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna follow this path as far as it takes me, and then I'll see what else I get to. So this theme of devotion and commitment has been my theme starting at Burning Man last year. And then I chose it as my theme word for this entire year. And it really came from like, I've been going to Burning Man since 2016. And last year, I was going in like, I feel so fucking prepared. Like, I've been doing this for long enough now. I bought this beautiful, like, luxurious, big glamping tent just for me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have my princess tent. It's going to be so great. And like, I got a nice new e-bike. And like, I'm like, man, I really figured out how to do this right. Like, I have everything dialed in, like, I've got everything dialed in with my camp, whatever. And it didn't end up working out that way, but I got, a lot more valuable stuff out of it. But I remember Build Week in Reno. I was having a conversation with my friend Anna, who's in my camp. And for those of you who don't know, I used to occasionally enjoy smoking cigarettes because I'm a very bad girl. And I offered her one. And she was like, no, don't you remember I quit smoking a year ago at this time? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Congratulations. And we were talking about it. And she's like, yeah, she's like, I think that like we have to give something up in life. Like we have to give up some shit in life. And it just landed with me so deeply. And what I took from that is like, we're always talking about what we want to create and what we want to manifest and what we want from the universe and what we want life to bring us. But we're not often asking the question of like, what does the thing that we want from us in return? And there are so many different ways to think about that. And so in that moment, this is also very Scorpio of me. Like when Anna said that, what I thought about is like, dude, she's totally right. You need to like put something down on the altar of life. You need to sacrifice something into the altar, into the fire, in order to like create the alchemy that's required to get the thing that you want. And so then I started to really think about like, how am I doing that and not doing that in my life? And then I started to see at Burning Man, like I saw all of these examples of like places where I was playing it pretty safe because I can usually get what I want, with like not showing up 100% and like still, and not really like giving as much as I could give. It doesn't cost me that much to get what I want usually. And so then I was like, what would it mean if I really went all in, and if I was really ready to like put all my chips on the table and like really like sacrifice more basically. And so I started to lean into that concept, and that has carried me all the way through this entire year, and I think will continue to carry me through. My birthday is also in August, so August is kind of like my personal new year.
It's such a beautiful sentiment, and it's like not that all of us go to Burning Man, but I think it's such a relatable story of this moment where out of nowhere somebody says something and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And
Angel sent to give me this message.
And I know that we've had some sort of adjacent conversations around that about in order to have the space to say yes, a skill we have to master is figuring out what to say no to, which does come with sacrifice. We have to figure out what we are willing to sacrifice to get the things that we really want to get. And another conversation it reminds me of is when we talk about manifesting, that in order to manifest what we want, we have to give away and sacrifice maybe old narratives or old parts of ourselves that used to serve us. So kind of an adjacent thought, or maybe not giving a tangible thing away, but still like we're having to cut the cord. I'm curious, Anne, like what comes up for you as you think about those conversations and this concept of devotion?
Yeah. And it's funny because I was messaging y'all and I'm like, what's the vibe for this?
Panicking.
I wasn't panicking. I was like, I want to show up and do a good job. And, I'm
going to win the LinkedIn Live.
And you're like, just show up. And then, Monica sent me a couple of voice notes. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Okay, we're good. Yeah.
And it has taken me an entire year to get Leslie to agree to a theme, just a one-word theme.
And it still had nothing to do.
Don't even ask for that. Just show up and be. No, but when I was thinking a little about this, I'm like, oh, I have a story. And by the way, yes, we do have maybe some sounds in the background because I have drilling in the back of my house, but we're gonna roll with it because it's Friday, y'all. What I was gonna say is I have when I talked to you and I was like, okay, this concept of devotion, and I think of it as like devoting, yes, to yourself and how you show up, do your best work, live your best life. I've been an entrepreneur now for 3 years. A lot of that journey to entrepreneurship was really trusting in like the path that I wanted and saying no to paths that were presented that were very, very attractive paths that I could have gone down. And it was a real risk at the time to say, okay, I'm going to bet on myself. This feels much more aligned to like the path that I am meant to be on. And I found continuously in this path of entrepreneurship, I have ended client work early 3 times in the last 3 years.
Wow.
And, some people are like, what? And the first time I did, I was like, am I really going to end this client? Yeah. But I deeply believe, I'm a yoga teacher, as you both know. I believe in like mindfulness-based therapy. I believe in tapping into your own inner bodily wisdom. There's science behind it. There's like your gut and your brain stem literally connected, millions of nerve cells that kind of send you signals of what is for you and what is not. And I've learned really intuitively to trust that sense and to trust that kind of like yogic sense, if you will, that I have around certain situations that are for me or not for me. And so, recently even, and I don't mind, like I am wrapping up a client today. Today is my last day with a client. And, it was always meant to be a few months and I could have extended. I, like you, Leslie, devotion to self, am going on a 6-week trip. Yes, 6 weeks.
Wow.
3, maybe even 7, actually. Like 7. 3 weeks in Hawaii. I'm going to work a little bit there. And then I'm taking a whole month off in July to go to Spain and Portugal, which I'm very, grateful that I can do that. My husband has sabbatical. I'm like, let's go. Let's take the kids. Let's do this. But that was devotion to myself and my family for something that's really important to us to really embrace that experience. But also with respect to work, realizing, sometimes there is a fit and sometimes there is not a fit. And in this case, it was not a fit for me to extend and continue longer. And my hope is that for them, they'll find a better fit. But also there was this moment of, am I going to really end this? Am I going to really end it early? And what's going to be around the other corner? And what ended up happening was I literally had the conversation, was like, I think it's time to wrap up. I've been able to do all these things that I said we were going to do. This is the right time. I want to go have a couple of spaciousness to just like work on my one other client, prepare for this big trip. And literally the next day I had 2 opportunities just boom, land in my lap. Like one got an introduction. I'm talking to them in about a month. Another just emerged. And I was like, this is the universe being like, you let go of that thing. It wasn't right away. I thought about it for a while. I wasn't like, okay, this isn't for me. And boom, next day. It was like, I thought about it, like really listened in, trusted it, looked for additional signals. And then once I was like, that's enough clarity. It's time to give this up and make space for what was. And I'll share one last thing. Before those opportunities even showed up, you know, you can have this scarcity mindset. Monica, you sent that podcast to me about scarcity mindset of, and I had it for a moment, like, well, what's going to happen? Well, will I get another client? Well, is this irresponsible? Am I being an irresponsible parent? You know, I got to provide for my kids right, along with my husband. And then I was like, wait a minute, let me flip this. If I give this up, what will it unlock for me? Even if I have more clients, what will it create for me in the next 3 or 4 weeks? It'll create space for me to prepare for my trip. I haven't even thought about Spain or Portugal yet. I'm going to go there for 4 weeks. I'm like, maybe read a book about it. It'll allow me to get back to strength training. It'll allow me to start preparing for this half marathon. It'll allow me to take some more naps, go and spend more time with my kids. And I started being like, ooh, that sounds really enticing.
Yeah.
And so I think it showed up as the things that I want to be devoted to a path that is feeling good and enriching, a path of devotion to my family. And it's all like worked out.
Oh, I love that. I would actually love, Monica, to hear your take about devotion on this scale of scarcity to abundance, because I've obviously shared with you before that like scarcity mindset is something I really struggle with, particularly around financial inconsistency, which is sort of like a part of being an entrepreneur. And I had to let go of the reins of the control a little bit to sacrifice that, to be able to step into entrepreneurship. But it's something I continue to struggle with. Just read the scarcity book for Business Book Club. So I'd love to hear how you think about the role devotion plays on that spectrum.
So I think like for me, it's like a practice and not an outcome. And like my North Star that I'm devoted to at this moment in time is my future self. And so everything that I do is oriented towards that, because I'm very clear on what that vision looks like. And so there's like this inherent tension in it, because it's like always something that you're moving towards, which means that there's always a little bit of a gap between like what you're moving towards and where you are currently. And like one of the things that I've been thinking about recently, you know, I'm in New York City for the summer. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh, how's New York? And I'm like, honestly, I wouldn't know, because all I've been doing is like, I'm home right now. I'm in my home office. And then I have like my co-working space, which is also my gym, which is also my social club over there. It's about a 10-minute walk away. I'm going to go there after this and work out. And that's all I do. I go here, I go there, I come back, I go to sleep. I was up until almost 1 a.m. last night setting up my new camera with my brother. And like that was my night. I went for a walk for an hour. That was my only time I left my house all day.
Let me tell you how Colin described that conversation, because I think he described it as, what did he say? Because I was like, somehow I don't think your sister probably felt the same way. Oh my God, I'll find it. It was something like, we had such a fun chat last night about technical stuff. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. Sister and I had a lengthy FaceTime hangout session doing similar, very fun technical activities. I was like, this is real.
I mean, we had a very fun FaceTime hangout session. I think the technical part was way more fun for him than it was for me. I have some excellent screenshots of myself just being like sort of that kind of vibe. But in any case,
there's nothing ever fun about that. I'm like, that is the stuff that like I literally didn't set up my home. I'm not in my home office. It's under construction right now for technical things so long until my EA, who lives in Michigan, came for a visit. I was like, oh, I bought this stuff 6 months ago. Can you set it all up for me? And her boyfriend came and did it. I still don't want to do it. So
that is
would not
100% be me. I am just lucky enough to have my brother, Colin Stewart Perot, that lives a FaceTime caller, usually like down the street when we're both in Mexico. But I mean, bless him that like, I'm glad that there are people in the world who do truly enjoy this stuff, because it is not me. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to set it up on my desk and I'm just going to record on the camera. And I'm just going to keep doing the same setup I've been doing for my calls. And he was like, I'm so sorry. That's the most boomer thing that I've ever heard. And I cannot let you do that. Like ethically.
Sorry. Sorry.
4 hours later. Anyway, so that's kind of my life right now. And I'm like, and then there's this other version of my life, which is like, I'm taking little fun day trips upstate on the weekend. And like, I'm, going out all the time with my friends, and I'm like doing stuff in New York. And, the reality is that actually doesn't align with the thing that I am the most committed to right now. And like last week I was like walking over there to my Soho House Club. It's not Soho. It's like the Soho House of Brooklyn, in the dark, going to the gym, also leaving my house for the first time that day. And I was like, dude, this is fucking boring. Like I'm so fucking bored. I'm going to go there. I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to listen to my music. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And I think that those are the moments that it like that the concept really kicks in, because it's like, this is not a series of very monotonous tasks that I am making myself do. This is my practice. And it's not always fun, because that's not the point, right? Like what I have signed up for right now is like this path that is a couple years of like pretty high consistency, pretty like, small actions compounding over time, and not a lot of like variation outside of that, because I am training for something. Like I am like, that's what I signed up for. And so I sort of shifted my mindset in that moment, and I was like, it isn't fun. Like if we wanted to have fun, we would be doing something very different right now. And I have done that at other times in the past, but that the point right now is to get really, really, really into the consistent daily practice and like orienting your perspective on something that's a little bit more long-term and something that's a little bit bigger. So I think for me, like that's kind of where it plays in is, so for my concept of scarcity right now is not financial scarcity, which is great. I'm very happy to not be worried about that, but it's more about like, am I going to lose everything that I like about life, and will I not be fun anymore? And like, will I no longer have any friends because I'm so like committed to this path that like at times can be very isolating. But I think like what I always go back to is like, do I trust myself? And like, do I trust my own vision? And do I trust my own intuition about where I need to go? And I do, just like Anne does. And so then it's like, okay, well, this is like this is the path and the practice to get you there.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that brings up so many things.
Yeah.
I think 2 years ago, my word was inner knowing for me to have a whole year dedicated to listening deeply and trusting myself. And I feel like I'm hearing that come up so much between everything you're sharing.
And it's also like one other thing that I would say about that is, it's like if you were committed to like getting good at anything or like learning anything, I love yoga for this reason, because yoga is the thing that it's like, if you do it, you're good at it. And if you don't do it, you're not good at it. Even in like little micro ways, like if I'm not doing yoga consistently, even in a couple of weeks, I'll notice the difference. And then I'm like, oh, well, I could just go back and start doing it consistently. And then I would be able to do that pose again. And we don't often apply the same thinking to like the way that we show up in our businesses and in our careers. But it's like, okay, well, you know, all my content on LinkedIn sucks right now, but I'm not going to stop, right? Or like this week feels really hard. I'm really tired this week, but I'm not going to stop because I'm committed to getting good at this thing.
Yeah. Like there's a consistency element. What you were describing, like the being devoted to this particular time in your life and doing it with the understanding that that means you will be sacrificing other things in the short term. It's interesting because that book that I just finished, Scarcity, that he has like two authors. They have like two whole chapters on this idea of tunneling and why it can be such a positive because you are like, you're locked in, you're focused, you're sort of leapfrogging forward because all of your bandwidth is really centered on this singular task. But as a result of your bandwidth being centered on the singular task, you may be sacrificed, not may, you certainly will be sacrificing things that fall outside of that, sometimes knowingly, sometimes not really knowingly, as you know, just as a result of the way the brain works. If anybody wants to check that out, I listened to it. I thought it was a pretty easy listen. It's called Scarcity: Why Having Too Much Means So Little. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Something else that came up for me as you were just sharing that story is that I feel like I am very much at a transition point right now. And I think I knew it at the beginning of the year, but maybe knew it quietly and kind of resisted it because I wasn't ready for devotion yet. Like I wasn't ready to go all in. But I the thing that I have been most devoted to for the past 4 years is recovering, maybe like recovering from burnout, recovering from this extraordinarily toxic narrative that I had told myself for 15 plus years that like my worthiness as a person was my job title, was the number of people I managed, was right. And the thing that I was devoted to so deeply was building a life of freedom. Or like I always say, like building a life I never want to escape from again.
Yeah.
And I have now realized that I'm at this tipping point of like wanting to kind of grind again. And maybe like grind isn't the right word, but I'm like,
I
no,
hear
I
it.
want to be like, right, I want to be in it.
It's a new stage. You've gone through. And by the way, we haven't talked about this. I want to talk about your financial security. I have that too, by the way, from growing up. So have those things. And I'm going to share what you're talking about similarly. I mean, beyond your natural things, like, yes, I'm a mom of two, I'm devoted to them, and I'm devoted to my career. Similar to you, I have said when people are like, what is the one word that you've used to describe entrepreneurship and how it shows up for you? It's been freedom. Freedom. Before entrepreneurship, I don't think I had a lot of freedom. I was like, you know, in toxic situations, toxic bosses, felt tethered there, and was very much in the same, it sounds like, headspace of like, my worth is my output. My worth is how much I can grind and how much I can prove. And by the way, the more I did it, it went down. It was not going up. And so it was kind of this new turning of the page in this new chapter. But what's interesting is I'm also, you know, approaching a tipping point. I don't know if I've shared this with y'all, but next year we're going to Spain and Portugal because we're going to go scope it out because we're planning to move there next year. We're planning to move to Spain and we've committed. We're going to visit schools. It's going to be like end of next year. We want to do this thing, but we have to devote to it. It can't just be this thing. And I've lived abroad. I lived in Africa for 5 years. I lived in Swaziland. I lived in, you know, South Africa. I lived in Spain. I lived in Chile. So I've like adapted. We can do the move. Now we're going to do it. We have dogs. We have kids. We have a house, like all the things. But I think it is so important because we and my husband were talking about, we've been talking about it for years. And frankly, we live in Marin. We live this like idyllic life. I'll be real. Why we hadn't done it before. My family, like my parents have all passed. His family lives in South Africa. My sisters are in LA. It's not like we have anything tethering us to Mill Valley, but I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And people leave us up and come here. And frankly, a big part of it was like guilt. Like I was like, who am I to leave Mill Valley? Like this is like who leaves Mill Valley? And then we had to be real and be like, is that our story?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's great. We have a great life. We are very grateful for our life? And is this what we want? Like I am Chinese, I've lived in a lot of places. My husband is South African. We met on a tarmac. Like I want the richness of culture. I want to be in a world where there are other languages being talked that I don't know, or that I do speak Spanish, where I am like in a place of being a minority and having to adapt. Like we get something from that. Started talking about it. We just, this energy created between both of us. And we're like, well, we got to just go and do it. And we have to devote, which means, coming back to you, Leslie, you said this, that's why I like got so excited. People are like, but Anne, what about your business? What about Ignite? It's going well. I'm like, it's going great. I'm not saying close it, but like I'm now open to different paths. And I don't want to speak too soon, but I like mentioned it to a mentor who's like a C-suite. And she was like, yeah, you could go do this. Like, would I go back in for this? I would. Would I put, not like close my business, but it's, what is it unlocking? It is unlocking this life that we are really excited for. And I'm also like, am I really going to go do that in the next year? Yeah, maybe. So I feel like we're having similar parallel lives, Leslie, but we're moving. We're doing it. We're devoted.
I'm so excited for you. That's so devotion. Cool. And I think you also bring up a great adjacent point that like, just because you're living somebody's dream life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's yours in this moment.
Agree. And it's a great life, but it's, like you, Monica, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I go and I pick up my kids and we take a walk and we go on the hike and we come home and we cook and this, and it's like rinse, repeat. And I grew up, I moved at 6 different times when I was growing up. There was a lot of instability. I lived in Arizona, Hawaii, North Carolina, California. I'm not suggesting that much change, but this is the longest I have ever lived in a place, 10 years. And I'm kind of like, I'm ready. I'm ready for something different. My husband's like, let's go.
Maybe let's talk about the devotion in the lens of like, I get a little antsy. I get a little antsy. I get bored with stuff. At what point does, like, you know what I mean? Like, at what point does devotion end and being like stuck in a rut begin?
Yeah.
Or being like, am I devoted or am I trapped? Like, what do you think that looks like?
That's such a good question. What do you think?
I think that earlier in my career, I thought I was devoted because I thought loyalty to an employer was what I was supposed to be doing. And I thought that it was a two-way street. Like I thought my loyalty would be rewarded. I thought that we were like in it together. And it was deeply devastating to me to find out that everything that I've been told about being an employee and the American dream and loyalty was all like, not just incorrect, like a lie, like a straight up lie. Like those realities just don't really exist for millennial plus people. I think even for younger generations.
Yes.
So I think maybe earlier I confused devotion with blind loyalty. And now I give myself a lot more grace in saying like, oh, that's not right. Or that was a mistake, and that's okay. Like you tried it, but just because you tried it, or even like, this year I said my big goal for 2026 was to do 26 live speaking gigs. And after shipping it for a quarter, I was like, no, it is exhausting. Like it's great. And
you can change your mind.
I think that's the thing.
Change your mind.
Previously, I would have felt very trapped. And I would have thought you said out loud that this was the thing that you are devoted to.
Yeah.
And so now you just have to do it whether or not it actually serves you.
You're like, I'm a person who finishes things.
Yes, and yes, exactly that. I'm a person who does what I say I'm going to do. I'm a person who finishes things. I'm a person that's dependable and loyal. And now I think maybe recentered that the devotion is to my inner knowing my sense of self, like my truth in the way I move through the world.
By the way, I 1,000% agree. And two things. One, sorry, drilling. One of my former bosses and mentors, Pat Williams, if you listen to this, he used to say, and he's like been a 6-time CRO. He now is like living his life dream, but he's also, been fired. And he said, and I had to learn early on after, having the best quarter of my life and crushing it. And then I got fired the next week and they went with a different CRO. And he's like, companies are an entity, and he always would say, companies are an entity. They're going to do whatever it takes to protect the entity. If you want love, get a puppy. And by the way, he's one of the most loving guys I know. Like, he is so warm, but he's like, if you want love, get a puppy, because they're not going to give that to you. And I was like, no, they care about us until
they
you have
care.
You're like, no. I mean, when it comes to like them surviving, I mean, look at what's happening. We're not going to talk about all the like AI layoffs that are happening right now. There's the AI Monica, but like they're going to do what it takes to protect them. And so I so identify with what you said, because if you go look in my LinkedIn, you're like, and this has come up, by the way, in job interviews when I used to be in-house, like, you've had a couple short stints in, are you not committed? Like,
God.
And, and for a while I felt like guilt about it. Like, ooh, I did have some short stints. But what they didn't see on that was like, one of them, I was like, well, it was COVID. I had a baby. I had postpartum anxiety. My husband lost his job. I was working 8-hour weeks, and I'd never taken a break for 25 years. So am I not committed, or did I just need a fucking break? Yeah,
right. Am I not committed, or was I so committed
for
so 25 years?
I'm like, I guess you could ask that. You could come to that conclusion, right? And then also I went into another one, and this on me, and I just picked the wrong company. They weren't a bad company. And I was trying to like going through, I knew like 2 or 3 weeks in, but I was like, I can't quit. I'm not a quitter. I do the things. I finish the things I start. Mm-hmm. And 6 months later, I was like, yeah, I'm still not feeling it. And like, am I going to just be in a suffer fest for 2 years of my life? No, I'm not.
Right? I think that's very honorable, because candidly, I mean, especially in revenue roles, what a lot of people would do in that situation is just phone it in. Like, they would mentally and energetically check out, but they would just stay until some outside event like compelled them to leave. I see people like that in some of the people that I work with, and I can see them right away. And I'm like, you are not doing good by yourself or by them right now. I
don't know how to fake it till I'm like, when I do it, y'all know, and I think you're all the same. Like, I am deeply engaged. I am all in. I can't just be like coast. I mean, I've turned down jobs. I'm like, you could do this job with your eyes closed, and it's a promotion. I'm like, I don't
want to do a job with my eyes closed.
Like, I want to eyes in. Let's go. Right.
Totally. Do you know what I was thinking about the other day? I realized, like, it's a weird flex, but I'm pretty proud of it. I was like walking down the street and I saw these two guys standing on the corner. They clearly like worked together, and like the neighborhood that I live in, they work in like a fucking music studio or something like that. But even in music studios, these conversations happen, and they were complaining about work. They were having like one of those kind of conversations, and they're like, and then Jeremy said, and he sent this email, and this isn't the first time it had happened. And then that, and I told him, and like, just like that kind of conversation. Like, sometimes it's at a bar, sometimes it's on a street corner. And I was just like, I was like, I haven't had a conversation like that about work in years. Like, I don't complain about my job anymore. I don't complain about my clients. I don't complain about you guys, obviously. I mean, you're my coworkers, basically. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't complain about partners, about vendors. Like, I don't complain about work anymore. And I'm so freaking happy about that, because I remember for so many years, like, do you guys remember for so many years, can you think about how much time you spent drinking white wine after work with your coworkers and just like talking shit about
bitching.
Whatever. Yeah.
Maybe you switched a meeting on the 3rd floor so you could all meet and convene about how you were. Not
what
like
a great point. And like, how much of even like not your coworkers, how much of your time with a partner, with your friends that are non-work friends, were spent being like, and Barb,
and then listen to what she did. Jameson said again in the meeting, and like,
totally.
Like, well, it's apologies to all those people that I dated in my 20s. Like,
it's like free. It comes back to freedom. And it's funny because I have had clients literally say, one, they've hired me. They're like, we need you to come in and say the thing. I've had execs be like, we're hiring you to come in and say the thing because you're not part of this trope that everyone has their agendas and they're worried. You can just say the thing because you're independent.
That's a LinkedIn headline right there.
Right. And then I've had others, peers, be like, Anne just says the thing that needed to be said. I've had like one of my peer VPs say, Anne, you're saying what we all know, but we can't say it, but you're saying it. And I'm like, yeah, because I can, because what are they going to do? Like, they're not my boss. They're my client. I mean, they can fire me. They're bringing me in to be the expert and to say the thing that needs to be said. Right.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. But it's in like and it's also because we're not attached to the outcome in the same way, not in the sense that we don't care or we're not like committed to them, but just in the sense that it doesn't personally cost us anything to say that.
Yeah. Agree. I'm always like, I'm not like, my only goal is to help you be successful. Like that is my only goal. I'm not trying to like get promoted in your org or like there's none of that. I'm not in that dynamics thing. I am just trying to help do the right thing for the company, and it's freeing when that's your only guiding.
There is a real power dynamic shift when it's, you're not going to promote me. You can fire me, but like you're one of my 7 clients. So like if you know, like it's.
Yeah, like that's fine. Like I don't want to work with someone that I would be afraid of them firing me all the time.
Right. And like, I don't have to worry about some toxic bullshit 360 review from you at the end of the year and like waiting through the bureaucratic bullshit. Like my singular job here is to get you outcomes, and we can either do that together or I can do that for somebody else.
Right. Agreed. We can do this the easy way, or like you can keep getting in your own way. And yeah, like there's no personal win for me here. And I don't have to make any trade-offs, which is pretty cool position to be in.
Yeah.
I
haven't, that's like, I'm going to think about that again later. That idea of like, when was the last time that I was like, this bitch was like complaining about, that is so cool.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was thank you to those guys standing on my corner, because it really gave me like a little giggle. Like as I walked away, I was like, right on. Like that is such an awesome unintended side effect that I didn't expect when I went out on my own, you know? Like there's hard parts of it. Like I actually miss the good parts of having a team and having coworkers, which is why I have created my own team, with like you guys and like all of my other great friends. But I don't miss that part at all, man.
No.
And, I was thinking like, just for those, because we have different things that we do in our businesses, like not like you're a consultant, Leslie, you speak, you also do consulting and training. Like I'm fractional. There are times where I am running teams and responsible for teams. And there's probably been times where I've been like, what's that person doing over there? And they've probably said it about me, but it still is different, right? It's different because the roles that we're in.
Yeah, that's actually why I don't like to do fractional stuff, because once it gets to that like level of embeddedness where like you're part of like the politics and you're having like strategy conversations with some of the people on the team about how we're going to get around this other thing with this other person, I'm like, it's a form of work, but it's like not necessarily, it's not the work that I feel the most energized by, because over time, for me anyway, it is really hard to not start to get personally involved and start to feel like I have personal wins that I want to make happen. And then I am basically now I'm one of the players in the ring. Right. And like, that's kind of like what I want to like not do.
You're going to say consulting. We talked about this. You're like, that's your lane. Yep. You're devoted to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it's helping me build like the business that I want to build. Yeah. And I mean, I think I might've told this story on this show before, but like before I started my own business, I tried 3 times, and each of those 3 times I ended up being a full-time employee somewhere. One of which ironically was at another consulting company. I helped to build this whole big agency. Which like started off with them being like, we have all these projects and we really need consultants and you're good, like come work with us. And then within 3 months, I was part of the leadership team. And then I stayed for 2 years. And it's like, it was like I kept being given this same test, and it's like, do you really want it? Do you really want it? Do you really trust yourself enough? And I mean, the reality was that I didn't trust myself enough. I didn't have enough faith in myself to just like fully stand out there on my own. And so I needed more time to feel like I could actually go out and do that. But then like once I now have it, I don't see that ever like changing. Bless you.
Thank you.
Well, I feel like this is a great time to talk about the moon.
I feel like this is a great time.
Until you told me that.
And I also want to talk to Anne about what she's doing this weekend. Should we talk about the moon first?
No, let's talk about Anne's weekend first.
Okay,
well, maybe
Anne,
we'll embed into it. Maybe like set the table, and then I'm sure we could weave it in.
Okay.
So there's two really cool things happening this weekend.
Yes.
Just two, actually, only two. And one of which is the full moon in Sagittarius, which is happening on Sunday. And I sent Leslie one of the astrology posts that I follow on Instagram earlier this week, because I was like, guess what, Leslie? The theme of this full moon in Sagittarius is devotion. And we had already picked this theme like a month ago, but
yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit about the way that I see this full moon. So Sagittarius is already a planet of expansion and driving forward and like thinking really big. And full moon obviously illuminates everything. The light touches everything and kind of like blows everything up. And then we have to look at like, okay, what is it blowing up? And so in Sagittarius, what I see with this is a lot of like support for really big visions, like delusional, crazy, go big, go in a totally different direction, move to Spain, start a new life for yourself, become a different person. Like this is that energy I feel is supported. And it's also a full moon. So we don't technically want to manifest on full moons. How do those things go together? What I see happening right now is looking at like, what is the clearest path? Like, what is the strongest thread that you have connecting yourself to this vision that you have? And then how can you remove anything that is not that? Like, what are like the barnacles that are clinging to that rope? And like, what are the other like little things that are like trying to hold on to the thread too, and are like distracting it from the direction that it needs to move for you? And I think that those are the things that we can be invited to shed light on and rid ourselves of on this full moon, so that our path can be even more clear to where we're going. Because the other thing to me that's interesting about Sagittarius, one of my best friends, Jessica, is a Sagittarius, so I think about it a lot because of her, is like, so I'm a Leo. And so the way that Leos lead and move towards things is very much like, I am leading my people in this direction, right? But Sagittarius is like, I'm going to go over there. And they're kind of like the Pied Piper, and they see something, they like the archer, they shoot their arrow, and where it goes, that's just the path that they follow. And they don't really care if anybody's coming with them or not. They don't care if the direction makes sense. They see and they go towards, and it's like a very sort of like visionary energy. So I would say like whatever you feel called towards, and whatever feels like most exciting and most alive to you right now, like look at what you would need to clear the way for in order to be able to move towards that.
Ooh, I like that. I love Chani Nichols.
Yeah.
And something that she was talking about was this as a time of closure. Which feels so complementary to what you were just saying, and to like that thread that we started the conversation with, which is devotion requires sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what are the things that you are going to let go of? What are the ties you're going to cut? What are those things that you need to get closure on so that you can make space to be devoted to the things that you are most called for in June and beyond.
Yes. So like it might even be something that you already know is like you got to let go, or like is ending, but maybe there's just that final like, okay, we're done now. Close the box.
Yeah.
Well, and this is where when we were talking about this weekend, and maybe good segue into, I was like, oh, I'm literally ending a client today. I literally just got paid, and then I'm, so I'm running this retreat. It's called the Rich Bitch Retreat. I'm so excited. Snaps. And it's a little bit also devotion and like listen to that inner calling. So I've run half-day retreats. So I teach yoga on the side for fun for everyone. And by the way, Lindsay Rios, you still need to come for Hip Hop Flow, first Friday of June. Be there. I do a hip hop yoga class every month as well. Nice. But what I was going to say is I'd been thinking about wanting to run a longer retreat, like a day retreat, eventually weekend retreats. And I have lots of little text threads like with y'all, with like Mallory Lee and Molly Bodensteiner, Lindsay Chapkama, and Rachel Nashan, like all these little operators and go-to-market peeps who are also badass women. And I was talking in threads, Monica, we were talking about like wanting to do a retreat that's like our business selves and then our non-business selves and our other factors of our life. And health is such a big part of how I operate and being active. And so I was like, I really want to run a retreat. And I kind of want to call it a rich bitch retreat because, we've all been called a bitch in our life. And I'm like, Meredith Brooks, that song, I was singing it this morning. I'm like, I'm going to embrace that bitch, and we're going to claim that word. And so I just decided, like universe things, I kind of put out there like, God, I would love to run a retreat. I started thinking about locations and I'm like, I want it to be like yoga, maybe strength, beautiful place, good food. If I'm going to be away from my kids and my family, I just went camping last weekend, but I'm not going to be camping. I want a nice place that I want time. I like backpacking, but I'm not backpacking this weekend. I want to be taken care of because I do a lot of taking care of other people, hence the rich bitch. And so literally I was thinking about it. Boom. The next week I get an inbound message on Instagram from a woman who lives in Marin, who's also a yoga teacher, who also worked in tech, who was a big exec and then exited. She was at Instacart, like, thank you, Instacart, for going public or whatever. And then she's like, I just bought this awesome house in Calistoga and I rent it out to people for day retreats. And I've heard about your yoga classes. Would you want to come do one? And I was like, oh, what's involved? And she's like, we give you the chef, we have this, we have a pool, we have this. I'm like, wait, you do all of that, so I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. And I just get to come and show up and like bring peeps. This is exactly what I want. I was like, let's go. Had the conversation, signed the next day. And literally said, okay, what's the worst that could happen? Worst that could happen is I've just shelled out this deposit. It wasn't cheap, but like all good. Nobody signs up. I don't think that's going to happen. No one signs up. I was like, I invite like 10 of my best friends. And I'm like, give me $100 each and call it a day. And I'll just like take a hit. We had this like fantastic weekend at Calistoga. Worst case, middle case, kind of break even, half go, best case sells out. It sold out in 3 weeks. Like there was like, can I come to the next one? And and really the space is like, hey, you're a rich bitch. I believe I want a whole freaking country of rich bitches. And I want like wealth. And it's not just about money, although I also want us to have money. Yes. But like freedom to choose, Leslie, freedom to live how you want, rich in health, rich in community, rich in friendship, rich in like sense of self. And that is what the retreat is about, with some yoga and some sound baths, some nature like mixed in and some good food. So
massive
tomorrow.
Congrats.
Yeah.
So excited for you. And like two threads that I would love to pull forward here. One is that, you and Monica and I were talking earlier this year because we have our Sales Witches retreat in Mexico City about like maybe making that into something. And we bring real burner vibes to that where like everybody pitches in, we create it together. And it would have been cool. But you listened to your inner knowing. And you were like, I spend so much time, and the type of woman I'm trying to serve with this spend so much time taking care of other people. I want to create a space where they are taken care of. So by sacrificing, by saying no to that earlier opportunity, you created the space and stayed devoted to this inner knowing you have. So it's like such a beautiful representation of this idea we've been thinking about the entire time.
Yes. Well, the other thing that I love about this is like you are creating, it sounds to me like the space and the experience that also like feels the most aligned and the most nourishing and like would pour back into you. And so it's like this really beautiful act of devotion to like one of your highest visions of yourself that is also expressed in other women, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I work, but it's like, it was fun.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've been working and like planning and sending comms out and getting things organized and talking to the owner, prepping the planning, like selecting the meal, but I'm not cooking the meal. I'm not cleaning the house. But I'm going to be there running the day. And then I'm going to go see Nathaniel Rateliff play at the Greek right after with my husband and our friends. And we're going to go straight from the retreat to a concert.
That's so fun. The after party for the retreat.
Yeah.
Afters.
Afters.
And we are both so glad for you and proud of you and excited for you. So massive congrats on seeing it, doing it, bringing it to life for yourself and others. That's so special.
Yeah. And then like, do you think you're going to do more, or does it depend on how this one goes?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah?
well, I mean, like, I was like, let's see, maybe no one will go. But now, like, literally, I got a message from a CFO who lives in like the East Coast. She's like, when can you come and do another? So I'm thinking I'm going to do one in a different part of the US, maybe like middle or like a beautiful location.
Cool.
Like Sedona would be really cool. That's actually still Southwest.
Sedona would be really
like,
nice.
I want a beautiful location. So I'm going to try and do probably like 2 a year, maybe 3. It's just fun. Like, I like doing it. There's real demand and I enjoy it. And I think I'm like good at creating experiences like that. So there will be more. Stay tuned.
Heck yes.
Heck yes.
Perfect. And I mean, that is a beautiful segue to the way we always end these chats, which is celebrating ourselves, because we don't often take enough time to say out loud the things that we're doing that we are proud of. Monica, did you have something in mind?
I'm really proud of myself for setting up this camera. AKA letting my brother set it up. No, but I'll in all seriousness though, like, so I felt like, you know, for the past, like for most of this year, like I feel like my content and like the way that I'm showing up online has been pretty like flat. Because I've been putting in a lot of work in a lot of other places. And it's like, I feel like I need to get to another level of like putting myself into my content and like becoming even more visible. And I realized that like the technical like things of like how to make it look good and like and like what app on my phone to use was like a blocker. So that's why I bought this camera, so that I can just go record. And I actually just recorded like a little short form clip right before I got on with you guys, because I had a thought while I was making myself an iced coffee, and that is the first time that I've ever done that. So I'm really proud of myself for, even though it took me like a whole year of thinking it through and figuring out where the actual blocker was, and then convincing myself that it was worth it to spend the money on the camera and whatever, I finally did the thing. And I'm tremendously proud of myself for that.
Your brother's proud too, I see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colin.
I was wondering, he was talking about the high definition. I'm like, oh, it's your brother.
And I had like such a giggle reaction because I have also been very lucky to have Colin as a partner in my business for the past 15 months, supporting a lot of like supporting my YouTube, where we earlier this month crossed 10,000 subs. We're like already at 11,000 now. I know, it's amazing. And he is maniacal about these technical considerations. So it's like hilarious. It's extra funny knowing who Colin is and exactly how he shows up.
Totally. And like, I'm one of those people, and I mean, it's been like this our entire lives. Like, I remember when we were little kids watching The Simpsons and you can't find the remote. I'm like, whatever, I'll just walk across the room and just press the button. And Colin's like, no, we have to find it. We have to solve the root cause of this issue. And I just be like, okay. And I just sit on the couch. I like start reading a book. Like, I'm just totally zoning out. He'd like go around and like, eventually he would find the remote. But our brains just work so differently in that way.
And we love
what about
it.
you, Leslie?
You know, I wasn't sure coming into this conversation, but inspired by this conversation, I would say closure on some of the goals that I started the year with and just realizing that they do not serve me anymore, and that I need to like literally go into my journal and fully cross them out.
Nice.
Like cross them out, get it out of my head that is something that should distract me in any way, so that I can make space for what I feel extremely called to right now, which is outbounding for the first time since I started my business, because I took the time to completely rebuild my Done With You advisory product, because I have now this like 4 years of clarity where I do the best work that like keeps me jazzed up, where I also like have the happiest customers, get the best ROI. And something that I was like thinking about when we were all talking is that the problem that I had with the original product that I built is that it left room for scope creep. And it left room for me to like accidentally get slightly too embedded in organizations. And really what my calling is like the teach a man to fish approach. Like, I want to set you up for success that is not dependent on continuing to pay me. So really doubling down on the format that I know works, Done With You, and like just like that, this is the thing I offer. We're not doing scope creep. And also really doubling down on my 9-step formula, because I used to like let people talk me out of doing parts of it. Like they were more convinced they didn't need to do a part than I was convinced they did need to do a part. So it's now I have this like 4 years of clarity about like, hey, when you skip even one part, I can see the repercussions, the negative repercussions of that through the 9 parts. So just like, I'm really proud of myself for, instead of just continuing to grind on my old product, even though it wasn't working, like taking the time to admit and acknowledge and like dig into what I can iterate to make it even better for myself and my clients in the future.
So good.
And then being like so excited about that I'm going to do some outbound.
Woo!
When I get back from
Italy, is doing the work.
There's this great book. It's called Profit Generating Pipeline, and I think
my bookshelf over there.
You need to know, yeah.
She has it ready.
Before we wrap, Monica, do you have that thing that you sent me, like the little? Because I would love to have you read that as our like outro.
Wait, we didn't ask Anne what she's proud of herself for, or what.
And what else are you proud of yourself for besides hosting a badass rich bitch retreat?
I know. I'm excited. I hope it goes well. I mean, I think honestly, it's getting really clear and learning to trust my gut and my deep inner knowing and instinct for what like is right for me and what is not right for me, and not feeling the need to make excuses or explanation, just being like, this is not for me and I'm moving on, and then letting there be quiet.
Wow.
Because around the corner is everything else that was meant for me. And the one other part I'll add is also not pushing to force the square peg into the round hole. I have really cool opportunities come my way, and I follow up and we get there, and then I follow up and I follow up. And old me would have been like, let's go. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is a signal. Maybe I don't need, like, I've followed up, I've been persistent, but like, if they don't see it, I don't need to keep forcing it, because that's the universe telling me it's probably not the right thing. So really listening to my own voice. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that.
Just want to celebrate both of you for all of that. So I can't wait to hear how your retreat goes. I do have this. I can read it.
Oh yeah, please.
People on the live. For everyone who stayed until the end, this is our parting thought for you. So the Sagittarius full moon on May 31st. The main theme of this full moon is devotion. If it makes you happy, devote yourself to it. If it treats you kindly, devote yourself to it. If it encourages you to have faith, devote yourself to it. And if it expands your universe, devote yourself to it. full moon in Sagittarius.
I love that. Ladies, what a beautiful discussion. This was, yeah, a treat always. These really fill my cup. And I'm grateful to have shared this space with you and grateful to everybody that took the time to join.
Yes, it was so fun hanging out with you guys.
Same.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. It was great hanging with y'all.
Have a
Bye,
great day.
everybody. Chat
Bye.
soon. Bye.